This is a journey that I've been pursuing since April of 2023. 2 years and 9 months. I made a video a couple of years ago talking about a Tower Battles enemy I deemed the hardest to defeat, the Abyss. And at the start of that video, I did not mention Endbringers, simply because I couldn't claim that the Abyss could even possibly be harder than a group of enemies no one's ever defeated. In today's video, I'm going to show you how we defeated the hardest boss in Tower Battles.
That was a good one.
That felt pretty good though, yeah.
We are no
Dang, bro.
honestly, in my opinion.
It really looks possible.
No, dude.
No! Yo, what the? Yo! Fast! Fast!
These guys won, dude.
For you to understand the intricate strategies and demotivating dead ends we reached, I have to take you back to the beginning. 2020, Tower Battles had a problem. People would join versus, the game mode designed to have you battle strategies and wits, and ask their opponent to triumph. Even worse, people would bring loadouts with the intention of triumphing, only pick Borderlands, and completely avoid sending. This would result in a versus triumph. Much like survival, all you had to do was defeat Void. This is a universal experience among any old gen you can name. So, a simple solution was presented. An endless wave of tanky enemies with a decent walk speed would push you. A winner would ultimately be decided, but it was up to you to stall and kill as many as you possibly can. Naturally, as a competitive community, people did try to run 4v4 parties and defeat them as groups. Some notable attempts were hosted by people like Josh Matz, who defeated a measly 5, and also Mustang God, who defeated roughly 25 in 2021. This was the world record for years to come. Now that I've covered the history of Endbringers, it's time to cover where my journey began.
Wait, I'm curious. Do Endbringers actually have an end?
No. It's literally just gonna tell it. Yeah.
Damn. So,
actually, I'm not sure. It might.
So let's say somehow you could just hold them off infinitely.
Yeah, I might have just typed in a really big number, 1,000 or something.
Because genuinely, one day I want to try see if there's maybe if I can abuse stunner with another tower. I don't know.
I will admit, when Endbringers dropped in 2020, I had zero interest in touching them. I automatically assumed they were infinite, but in Planet's Code We Trust, this single conversation was enough to spark motivation in the idea. So, with little preparation and a plan stitched together by used band-aids, I teamed up with Parrot, by the way, YUOJ, and Sammy. Yeah, I know, not exactly the star players we had today. Don't worry, I wasn't so naive that I was expecting us to beat Endbringers in that exact moment. It was simply, let's call it a recon mission. Parrot had coded a 3-line script for us to use in our executors. The intention of the script was that you would be able to bypass Commander's airstrike cooldown, but it didn't work. As you can see in the footage, we managed to bypass the graveyard placement limit of 3. At that point, we were just having fun. Stunners were stunning, graveyarders were graveyarding, but obviously we lost. And for a show of my motivation at the time, I didn't even bother to ask for a second game that night. We roll around to May, and I finally talk to Fast, the Iron Man to our little Avengers. This boy was crafting up some bullshit. I mean, Stunner with Aviator, very creative, but naturally, we lost. At this point, I decided to get hands-on and start testing towers myself. I tested railgunners, phasers, and mortars, and as you can see, I did not know how to stack back then, and I'm seriously cringing hard looking back at this footage, oh my. That's besides the point. In my poorly ran test, I had concluded definitively that phasers were better than railgunner. Mortar was completely out of the question, but the closer I look at this footage, the more I realize, who on earth let me cook? For starters, during my railgunner test, I did a test without CTA at all. Why would that even be considered an option? Then, I followed that test by saying I use CTA, even though I only used it once at the start of the test. Then, I did a mortar test, marked it as did not finish, which isn't so bad. Obviously, you can see my thinking in wanting a splash damage tower to be useful in this challenge. But then, I did a test with fucking tuber! 2023 me was a different person. Please do not judge him. As time progressed, we tried different towers. We wanted to see if anything had the leg up on railgunners. You've seen plenty of times so far that many people have tried getting as many railgunners as possible and not even scratched the surface. But time after time, game after game, we reached dead ends. We lost motivation. The entirety of 2024, I can count on one hand the amount of Endbringer attempts we did. It was one. Now let's take our eyes away from little old KESTUTIS 99 and direct our attention to a little someone who goes by Backrooms. Backrooms is no stranger to trying to push the limits of tower battles. He had done multiple 1v7 attempts, multiple Dead End Valley and Grassland challenges, but during January of 2025, Endbringers finally caught his attention. Much like me in the beginning, he was just having fun with it. The first recorded attempt he has shows him abusing the Tower Battle's infamous party glitch to force a 3v5 game. The 5 in this case were randoms, and knowing they would be worse than an experienced group of players, they balanced it out by giving them the extra player. Naturally, because randoms are randoms, we all know what that means, Backrooms and his friends still beat them, and with still a quarter of the map to spare. They killed 19 Endbringers, already scratching at Mustang's world record of 25. As months went by and attempts unfold before his eyes, it was time for new ideas. As I'm writing the script, he told me that one of his ideas back in the day was Graveyard and Lightnings. Essentially, both teams would be sending Lightnings to allow as many jacks to stack up as possible. An admittedly entertaining idea, but one that never came into fruition. His motivation had also faded for a few months while he focused on other Tower Battles challenges. However, August of 2025, he was back and more committed than ever. 14 Endbringers on 2v2, 19 in 2v2, he was proving just how much you could do even with a limited amount of players. But that was the very problem. Finding players competent enough to run 3v3s and 4v4s. At this point, Backrooms finally got in touch with Khan. I hate to glaze, but this kid is a math genius. At least enough to look like a genius in a group chat full of soap eaters. I mean, this dude literally qualified for an AME, an American math competition for young math prodigies. Backrooms and Khan were to their group what me and Fast were to my group. Essentially the team leaders, organizers, and driving force to the goal of defeating the Endbringers. They realized very quickly that Zed was the way more optimal track tower over Graveyard despite having half the ramming damage. You could also micro Zed faster with the added bonus of direct DPS and splash damage. In one of their attempts, they ran with Railgunner, Zed, and Golden Commando and immediately cracked their previous record of 19 and killed 22 Endbringers in 2v2. Progress was being made very swiftly, even with the added trouble of trying to find players. By the end of the very same month that they locked in, they finally dropped Golden Commando, found Sleater was an optimal tower for its permafrost slowing effect, and introduced Harpoon Gunners. You see, back in Mustang God's attempt, they were using Hallow Boomer. At the time, Hallow Boomer was the known method for slowing down Endbringers, and Planet decided that he didn't want that considering Flamethrower also had no effect on them. And if we're being honest, why on earth did he make that decision? The whole point of Endbringers is that you're supposed to stall them as much as possible until someone dies, and he decides to put Flamethrower and Hallow Boomer's entire purpose down the drain. Naturally, Planet being Planet, he either forgot towers or maybe he just prefers winter towers slowing Endbringers over fire-based towers. Your guess is as good as mine. With the use of Railgunners, Zed, Sleater, and Harpoon, they had confidently solidified the strategy that we know today. In a 3v3, they killed 24 Endbringers. Think about that for a second. In less than a month, they had nearly beaten the world record in 3v3. Mustang's world record was in 4v4. And just like that, before the month of August could even end, they decimated the world record. "29 Endbringers killed in 3v3. And yes, I know that's far off from the predicted 1,000 Endbringers that Planet gave us, but it's progress to be celebrated. Right after this monumental achievement, they attempted the same strategy in 4v4, which means even more towers, and well, they lost. 29 again. I guess you really just can't strike gold twice. And once again, they were demotivated. They were really debating whether committing to this was even worth it anymore. If Planet really put a cap of 1,000 on Endbringers, and you couldn't even crack 10% of that, not even 5% of that, you'd be demotivated too, right? For the most part, they had taken a 2-month break. They had a game every now and then, but they never really broke records. A 5v1 and a 6v2 to see the limits of Railgunner, but truthfully, the smaller team couldn't even survive long enough for the Railgunners to make a visible dent. Until October, they were back and more fired up than ever. A 4v4 match on Western, they killed 30, a new world record, and that was without Sleater's permafrost. Only 7 days later, they had discovered something that changed everything. Planet's original prediction? A shot in the dark. I asked him that question 3 years after he coded the Endbringers spawning rates. In Backroom's video, only 66 spawned. 66 Endbringer spawns, that seems very random, don't you think? Well, you're right, it is. Their next game, 68 spawned. Khan had a theory after the first game that Endbringers spawned in 14 groups consisting of 4 to 6 per group. And that very game confirmed it. That means the lowest possible amount that can spawn is 56, but the chances of that actually happening is 1 in 4.7 million. You have better odds of getting wave 0 2 times in a row. How depressing. Back to their original game that spawned 66, they managed to kill 43, demolishing their previous record by 13. The end was in sight. What was the difference between their record of 30 and 43 despite their new record being 3v3? Well, there's a lot, so let's dive into it. For starters, they obviously had Sleater this time. On their previous record of 30, they were playing on Western, which has 57 less studs than Midnight Road's track. The reason they were playing on Western in the first place was because a lot of the people that Backrooms was playing with had quite limited railgunner stacking abilities, so stacking on Western's really big cliff was easier to them than Midnight Road's much smaller cliffs. And last but not least, server lag. The fourth hardest challenge behind getting enough players to play, having enough luck to roll the map you want, and actually defeating the Endbringers was having a decent server to play on. You see, Tower Battles has spaghetti code, and when the server lag is rampant, the DPS of the towers are affected significantly more than any other TD game you would play. Fast had heard the world record news and came to me. Immediately, I was intrigued. I was motivated once again, but I knew doing the same strategy as them was pointless. They had pushed it to its theoretical limit, so I thought to do what I had planned from the very beginning: stunner and airstrikes. However, I had a problem. Besides me, there were no stunner owners that were actively willing to play Tower Battles. Parrot, who I'd played with on my very first game, was busy with other projects. Kev and Screwfus were never in the mood to play. I absolutely needed another stunner owner to play on the opposite team. It's a good thing I planned a year and a half in advance for this very moment.
That's what I would have did.
Oh my god, Mike Tyson won! Mike Tyson won!
Roll back to April 2024. My very last video before I announced my YouTube hiatus, I announced the Tower Battles tournament. I had managed to convince Planet, after 5 months of borderline begging, to let me host a highly competitive tournament where the winner would be crowned Stunner. Now, I'll admit, I really did just want to host a competitive, really competitive tournament, but this was the hidden reason why. Fast, you know, my teammate in this Endbringer challenge, he actually ended up getting into the finals, and before you call rigged, he actually ended up losing. Ultimately, he lost to Broco, but that worked for me. Broco has been a friend that I've trusted for years and deserved every right to that stunner after supposedly beating both shared top 1 players. Fast forward back to October 2025. I was building a team that had the leg up on Backrooms and Khan with the use of stunner and knowledgeable airstrike glitches. Airstrike glitching is commonly known among people who play mobile or mobile emulators. Now, because it's somewhat against the rules of TBC, I won't explain how to do it, but the point of it is essentially lag switching to summon a crapload of airstrikes at the same time and deal an insane amount of splash damage. Kossap and Fast took the role of airstrike glitching, Broco and I guarded the entrance with as many stunners as we could fit, as well as Astral and Vitkin, who padded with some extra DPS. And now, the footage you see before you is the game that changed tower battles forever. On the 2nd of November, I was up at 5 AM and ready to go. The reason I was up so early was because we were targeting a specific server region at a specific time. Paris. Paris was our golden ticket. It took us about 15 minutes to roll Midnight Road, and our first attempt, at last, we finally reached the final wave. Enjoy. Whoa.
What?
Oh shit.
Oh no!
What just happened? Did everyone DC?
No. Just you.
Only you.
What?
How unlucky. Kossap had lost connection, and he was the main source of DPS for the other team. Immediately in that moment, we chalked this up to bad luck and that we'd get it on our next try. But the events that followed shocked us even more. Unfortunately, okay, well, you guys are gonna lose.
Let's see how.
But just stole as long as you can. Dude, this is insane. They haven't even reached the second point yet. This sucks so hard. We could have had it first try, but dang it. So, oh my god.
Then we started illustrating.
Oh, I think
We can illustrate this the entire.
Yeah, they stopped. Yo! Let's go. Okay, well, I wonder if you guys can beat it. You actually might. I don't know. It's like, it really depends on like the Zeds. Oh, I gotta get the perfect bird's eye view for this.
That's it.
These guys won.
We did it. Okay. Oh man, this will tell us if it's possible without the airstrikes.
Honestly, it might be.
It really looks
Yeah,
possible.
it looks like it.
It really looks like it. An empty map in versus for the first time in like, when did Endbringers come out? Yo, fast. This is what we've been talking about for like the past year, bro. And we were like, we'll just wait until the update comes out, you know. You know, it'll be a next step up. Beating it without the stunners though.
Good luck doing that.
Yo, okay. Let's see if anything happens, bro. I guarantee not, but let's see. Here we go. Come on. Come on. The zombies are
Zombies retreat.
Oh,
Yo!
Okay, I had a feeling.
No way, bro. No way.
Yo! Yo!
Does it actually triumph?
That's crazy.
Just survival.
We had done it. We made history. The first ever group of people to defeat Endbringers. Understandably, Backrooms was upset, and he was right. It was cheap, it was unfair, but I didn't care at the time. I was working against him. I almost began working on this very video moments after that, but even I knew it felt cheap. Sweeping up their hard work with a tower they didn't have access to and a glitch that they could easily do but chose not to. Only 3 days later, they set an even higher world record of 50 Endbringer kills, exactly doubling Mustang God's record in 2021. And after weeks of trying to beat their new record, they cracked. Like us, they were so desperate to see the triumph screen for the first time and they used airstrike glitch. They proved that anybody could have been the first. Anyway, roll back a bit. That win that we got, we decided to brush it off as a side quest and decided to put our full focus on a legit Endbringers win. We had additional side quests such as win with stunner and no airstrike glitch, so as to fill in the days where we didn't have enough people for a 4v4. But still, my team and I were head to head with Backrooms and his team. My team would hold back information publicly and so would they. I hated this kid and he hated me. It was a race to the finish to prove who was better. And I was motivated. But the truth is, in our attempts, we were barely getting above 40 kills sometimes, our highest 48, and even they were struggling to reach their record again. Did they really reach the limit? An entire month goes by, with no records broken. The additional people on both teams were losing interest, they were losing motivation once again. Both teams were getting desperate for players to run 3v3s and 4v4s at ideal server region times. So I decided to make the most important play of this entire competition. I reached out to Backrooms to offer a partnership, a 50-50 shared server where everyone would share everything. Additional members were hesitant about this team up because of differing external ideologies, but we all agreed that the partnership would strictly be Endbringer talk. And my god, the amount of information they held back made our team seem like bots compared to them. You ever heard of phaser micro? Yeah, I didn't think so. I had never heard this term before, but based on the simulations that Can had run, it seemed like a very plausible strategy. Essentially, you'd be putting phasers at the beginning of the map to target different Endbringers and get them lower. Every strat before this only targeted the first Endbringer, with some Z splash damage hitting the first 2 or 3. With this, you could significantly lower the health of Endbringers, fortunate enough to never get hit otherwise. But it was simply too convoluted, and yet again, it was a dead end. There were other strategies, such as intentionally using Anarchist smoke debuff to lower the range of railgunners and oil rigs so that the front railgunners would deal damage to the other Endbringers instead of the one leading the pack. Even Sleater and Airstrike micro were considered. This time everyone would bring Commander, and the Sleater user would selectively sell and replace based on the Endbringer groups to pile them up more and allow airstrikes to hit as many Endbringers as possible. And another thing, Backrooms was obsessed with pushing the limits of rail stacking. On his very first public stacking tutorial back in November, he was getting 17 railgunners on the front cliff and 12 each on both middle and back. Nowadays, he has raised those numbers to 23 front, 14 middle, and 16 back. And that's not even mentioning the side cliff, considering it isn't used often. At this point, you can fit up to 3 or 4 times the amount of railgunners on Midnight Road than you would without stacking. But still, even any minuscule change in strategies wasn't enough. We had rarely gotten close to the record of 50. Every now and then, we'd take up side quests to keep us from burning out, though our most notable side quest was very interesting. 4 players legit versus 2 players using stunner. What makes this different from a standard 4v4, minus the obvious 2 players missing, is the fact that you can place more towers. A 15 tower limit on 4v4 suddenly bumps up to 18 because the game recognizes this match as a 3v3, but with 1 player on the other side. With this bonus, the 4-player side suddenly gains a 2,500 DPS, a significant increase from the usual roughly 11,000 in a normal 4v4 match. They breezed through this, even with minimal Z micro. And with stunner on the 2-player side, we managed. Z splash damage actually goes very underrated in many players' eyes. On the 28th of December, Khan was looking more into server regions and had found Brazil around 3 to 4 AM was really optimal. Obviously it makes sense being that time considering majority of Brazil would be sleeping, but we were wrong all along about Paris. This was our first golden ticket. On the 29th of December, just 2 days before the new year, we had a run that would change everything. We were so desperate to achieve this monumental goal before the new year began that the Americans in the group were up until 1 AM. Backrooms and Khan had discussed tech that would be crucial, while Fast and I were able to push something that we had been talking about for months. Zed. The problem with Zed in a game like Tower Battles is lag. It's a track tower with high DPS, and the more lag you cause, the more punishing it is to railgunner DPS. Throughout all the runs I've mentioned in this video, world records included, people were scared to do one thing: commit to Zeds. You can place 5 Zeds per player in 4v4. That makes up to 40 Zeds in a single game. Think about how detrimental that would be to our precious railgunner DPS. However, glory to Brazil, we finally took off the training wheels. We had done it. Our first golden ticket had led to our second golden ticket, Zeds. And that tech I mentioned from Backrooms and Khan, much like that Anarchist oil rig strat, we intentionally used Anarchist to debuff our towers. What tower? Harpoon Gunner. Very random. Let me explain. The only place where Harpoon's range mattered was where it ended. Naturally, it always targets the first Endbringer. If we can limit its range on the side cliff, we can hit more Endbringers, ultimately slowing down a more consistent amount. That was the issue all along. We were using Harpoon wrong. Typically, we place Harpoon on the bridge pads in the center of the map. I mean, that's the straightforward option, right? Problem: if your Harpoons are only targeting the first Endbringer, then there's no use getting any more than one. Backrooms and Khan had found many spots on the side cliff that would slow down Endbringers right after the second corner, where Z splash damage could target way more Endbringers. Our last golden ticket to complete the trifecta. Now, pay close attention to what happens next.
Oh my god, last one. No, last 2.
Oh my
Last
God.
2, last 2, last 2.
We got it! Hold on, just...
Unless this is like a secret 5 stack or some shit. What happened to DJ? Wait, how's it out of range? What? Oh my god, we did it! We did it! We did it!
We actually did it? Oh! Oh! No, they're about to die.
No, dude!
No! Yo, what the fuck? Yo! It was devastating. A single Endbringer under 50,000 health. Both demotivating and motivating simultaneously, but it was true. We had finally found our golden ticket trifecta. 20 Zeds with debuffed harpoons while playing at an optimal time on a Brazil server. We just had to do it again, but better. 10 minutes later, we finally rolled Midnight Road. Once more. Years of dreaming and planning, months of countless tech and strategizing that led to dead ends, had all come down to this game.
I'm gonna do this like a fucking diary fucking log note thing. Today is December 29th at 4 p.m. Western Australian time. We are currently on a Brazil server, Midnight Road. We may just win this game. Please.
Lock the fuck in! Oh yeah, they have level 4s and shit.
Now? Okay.
It should be fine.
Oh my god! Go fast.
Oh, the fucking Endbringer, bro. Holy shit.
That's fire. Yeah, this is okay. The server's looking really good. Come on.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I'm only got a micro 4Z, so it's easier for me. Because this ping is ridiculous. Oh fuck yes, dude. We're doing so good. Even though we're like so unlucky, we're doing so well. We're doing great, boys. We're doing great. Holy shit, bro. It's the worst micro I've ever done, I think.
Lock in. Can't have that now.
So Slater? Okay, I got you.
My Zed isn't buffed. I don't know why. Probably just out of range. It happened last time.
Give me that, please. Bro, oh, it's like saying it's max. I'm trying to upgrade it, please. Tableaus is such a good game. Oh my god, bro. I'm getting actually trolled.
Lock in, lock in. Two more. That's it, that's it, that's it!
Okay, we did it, we did it.
That's
Yo! Let's go!
One blue team, one blue team, two blue team, two.
Bro, we actually did it.
It's a GG, bro.
Chat, we finally did it! Oh. This is everything we've been fucking working towards, bro. Holy fuck. Oh, I can finally breathe.
We made history in tower battles. The first ever group of people to beat Endbringers without the use of publicly inaccessible towers or airstrike glitches. We won legitimately. And just to throw the cherry on top, everyone that I wanted present to win was there. Khan, who had spent way too much time on the math involved in this project. Backrooms, who had come up with unique strategies and pushed railgunner stacking to its limits. And lastly, Fast, who had stuck with me from the start and always came back when I had built up the motivation to come back to Endbringers. It was genuinely like a fairy tale book ending. It was just way too perfect for all of us. I also want to give a shout out to the extra people who were present, such as Kossap and Astral, who had been playing with Fast and I for as long as the pre-Backrooms team up, as well as KSWA and Biz, who had been helping Khan and Backrooms for as long as they've had their eyes set on this goal. I dreamed 2 years ago that one day I'd be able to make this video, and finally, I've done it. But that isn't the end. Yes, technically we defeated the Endbringers legit, but it's still flimsy. We still used glitches, just glitches that weren't frowned upon. Tower stacking and farm glitches, these are glitches that are commonly used by the community when doing hard challenges, so the run was technically viewed as legit. But could we win without any glitches at all? Who knows? If we can pull this off, I'll see you in a part 2. Otherwise, this marks the end of my journey. Goodbye.